Good evening, everybody. Good evening. So tonight we're going down the rabbit hole. I hope you like the new video. It is out as I'm going to put that as an intro video. I really like it. Good evening. It is January the 28th. It's about 4 minutes to 7 o'clock. So good evening, Sandra, Carol, Patty. Nice to see you, Carol. Simon Templar, Scruffy Scrubs up in the house. Yes, there's a lot of concerning things coming out. That's for sure. There really is. But I want to get into what happens with martial law. And then I want to get into the history of martial law. I want to get into, has the United States ever had martial law? And on top of it, what are the seven things that you can do if they do declare martial law? Will they actually come out and declare martial law? That's the big thing. I want to say this, that probably not. They probably aren't going to come out and say, well, it's we are in martial law, right? It doesn't really matter what president is in charge or who's in control of Congress or who's sitting on the Supreme Court. There's always at least one person holding up a sign on a street corner or yelling about how the president or someone else is plotting to end democracy and enact martial law. And wow, would it be the end of democracy? Martial law? It does sound scary and crazy, but yet it has not happened over the whole country. But nationwide martial law has never declared in the United States. Historians have identified about 68 different instances of martial law being declared regionally throughout the nation's history. But according to the Brennan Center, it's never been declared nationwide. But what I want to talk about is a lot of those times have been both fairly temporarily, fairly localized, limited to a certain situation. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the guy on the street corner is right and that the president or whoever is secretly plotting to declare nationwide martial law. What would that look like? And what would happen? And this answer is going to be a pretty complicated one, honestly, because there's so many things to take into existence, to think about. I put together a video. There's about 2 minutes of a little history and intro about martial law. And then we're going to get into the seven ways of, if martial law is called, what will really truly happen. So let's get into it. You can drop people's links tonight. That's fine, folks. Drop anybody's link. That's fine. There's two different types of martial law. So that's what we're going to go into this whole thing. Qualified, which is military aid civilian law enforcement, and military has complete control over law enforcement. So, as the video showed, 68 times in the United States that there's been martial law. Actually, during Katrina, martial law was declared. Back into the Civil War, when Abraham Lincoln was president, there was martial law. Brigham Young, so there's all these different times when martial law has been called. But what does it actually mean for like me and you if martial law would be called? And what is it going to do if it is called? How do we survive it? Actually, the state and local law enforcement cannot control issues like such as riot, looting, strikes, maybe a protest in Texas. Maybe that would happen, right? And when they do, if they're not going to come out and say we're under martial law. They didn't do that in Katrina, right? We all know that they didn't do that in Katrina, but law enforcement came in and took over the situation because what was happening is all the looting. It happened during the LA riots also. So somebody will have to drop it for you. If one of my mods, just say mod, please drop my link if you want your link dropped. This is a really important topic with everything that's going on right now, right? It is a very important topic. And if we'd only drop channels one time, I'd appreciate it. And then let's stay on topic tonight because I think it's very important. After this show, we'll have a little kickback time. I picked out some music and also some other things that I wanted to talk about. But I think that the big thing with what's happening in Texas and what's happening all around the country and the world is and will martial law happen. If local law enforcement can't keep the peace, or if there is a struggle in power, they definitely can implement martial law. When it is declared, it's not always accepted by the civilian population. Most people are not going to be like, okay, I'll stay home. Okay, I'll do this. Okay, I'll do that. This is just a little, I, oops, I snuck something in here. So, y'all need to read this. I can't say it out loud. I don't, I'm surprised that, but read this. Okay. Um, read it. I'm gonna kind of pause it so you can read it throughout. It's very important to. This is a little off kilter from martial law, but I wanted to like put it in the middle of the video. So you all know how I do stuff, and I'm about to get off restriction here on YouTube, so I'm being very careful. But first and foremost, the U.S. is the military arm of, right? Okay, you got that part. There's like four slides here that I want you to pay attention to. Make sure that you're reading them. It's also really important to realize that all of the things. Yes, yes, it is. It is very true. This is very true. And then if you think about what's happening at the border and what's right here, another good point, right, is that our Army, our Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard is understaffed right now. Um, the Vice President is asking that all of the illegals get fast tracked as citizens. We also know that they are getting fast tracked into the military and into law enforcement. Hmm. This could be a big situation for the United States. I've had many people on this channel ask me, do you think that our military would ever turn their guns on us? Right? So there's your answer. And it's not a good answer, right? It is not a good answer. But could it happen? It could. Um, and I agree with you, RR. It will be them that turns on us, and fast track into the military, fast track into law enforcement, fast track to be able to carry guns, fast track to all these things are happening. Why? Well, there's your answer. Let's get back into the martial law part. I just wanted to bring that because I think it's very pertinent to what's going on right now, and they're also, they're being well, it's all right there in black and white. They get subsidized healthcare, education, and all these other things. And it's also being funded by none other than, well, old Soros. If you really think about what's happening, somebody has to be putting up the money, right? Somebody has to be putting up the money. You may want to go back and watch this after the live stream and slow it down so you can read it word for word. The bottom line is that all the pressure that's happening with Congress right now is they have to do something because the American people are getting in an uproar about what's happening. Um, when ML gets called, there's certain things that will happen, and when those happen, they're not going to say um, it's here, it's here, and you're all under martial law, because people would just absolutely go ballistic just hearing the word. They would go ballistic. It basically means that the state or the national military force will enforce the will of the government on the people. So if you think about what's happening in Texas right now, um, if things get out of hand down there, it would give them the ample opportunity to, one, it suspends martial law. Constitutional freedoms and liberties are all suspended. Civilians are no longer entitled to their civil rights. And it basically allows the government or a tyrannical politician to basically shred the Constitution and impose its will against the people. I believe, I believe you're right there. I believe you're truly right. The border is set up for a civil war type situation. So in return, they can, and Biden's already talking about it. He's talking about sending military there. There was pictures being shown of tanks moving down the railways that supposedly were coming from the United States military. It has not been confirmed. Don't always believe every single thing that you see either. I'm going to say that because we don't know if those are old videos, which I even proved on the trucker convoy. They were showing trucker convoy. That was the Canadian trucker convoy. It wasn't the convoy headed to Texas. They're saying 700,000 truckers. I'll tell you what, when I went to the trucker convoy here in the United States in Cuba, Missouri, that place was packed, but the numbers were way fudged. Way fudged. They weren't the real numbers, right? What they are saying is that the militia is inside the convoy. And if that is true facts, all hell will break loose, especially because the intel that I have that's coming in from a military person is saying that not only is it militia, but they are armed. So there's two different things going on. There's that convoy happening, and then on top of it, there's this movement called God's Army. They're saying that they're separate, but yet they're moving within each other, and all kinds of things are coming out about it. Is it true? Is it false? I don't know. I guess we're all about to see this week, right? We're all about to see. Um, I think the big thing is to understand that martial law has been done in the United States several times. And the thing is there's seven things that we really need to consider, because when they impose these things, and it goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War, okay? Um, it could be for any reason. But what's going to actually happen under martial law? The actual words martial law will probably never ever be used. Like I just said, like several times, it'll probably never be used. I had to bleep out a couple words on this page for a particular reason. You can read into it yourselves. I'm sure you can figure it out. But the first thing you'll probably likely see is a declaration of state of emergency, which in 2019 we went through a state of emergency. You weren't supposed to go out. You weren't supposed to gather in large groups. You weren't supposed to go to church. You weren't supposed to go to work unless you were essential. All of those things are based around martial law. And it says firsthand during the so-called Jabberoo pandemic. And this may be done nationally. It can be done in cases of war on a large scale terrorist attack, or it may happen locally. I also have some intel that I want to share with the channel right now. And I think it's very important for us all to know this. Please hit the thumbs up, folks. Even if you're a lurker, hit the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Or hit the thumbs down. I don't care, whatever. Um, whatever floats your boat tonight. But I want to say this. They asked me to please not say their name, and I will not say your name. But I want to read this to you. I wanted to reach out to you with info for everyone's protection. I was at the store, and someone that I know very close gave me a heads up. The person told me to stay out of Dallas, Texas. He also said that if I do go to Dallas, to stay away from groups of people and to be aware of my surroundings. I found an article that Russia stated that they are going to provide Texas with military equipment, which I talked about earlier, which is true. This morning, there was also a man who recently threatened Americans with saying that you will soon find out who he is. That man said he is going to Dallas. He is here to defend his people. He said he is not here for charity. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that the same man could be one of the Hamas leaders and is in Irving, Texas, in the shrine. The name of the shrine is the Islamic Center of Irving. True or false, I don't know. Please be careful and tell everyone you know about this. Please just don't show my name. And that came in from one of our own community members. So what I have to say about that is wow. You know, heads up from the community is great, and I appreciate you all sending me the emails and the different things that you do. I really do, because we are a community, and I think it's very important that if one of us get intel, that we share it. Sometimes I can confirm these things. I did not have time to confirm that one, but I'm sharing it anyway, because what we know about that man and what we know about his past is very crazy. I did make a mistake on the live stream. I said January the 19th, 2024. It was January the 19th, 2023. So he had been out for 1 year. But the thing was, he had been in prison for 12 years and then came to the United States. So, yeah, nothing would surprise me either, Simon. In definitely wouldn't surprise me. Um, I think that sometimes if I feel that something is very legitimate, I'm going to bring it to the channel and I'm going to say it, no matter if I get a batter up or not. Okay, that's just how it is. Make sure you're subscribed to OTWP Report, please. Uh, if one of the mods, please drop OTWP Report and please sub over there. We have live streams there every week. Depending on the reasons behind the declaration, you may also see certain things happen. One, you may see a lot of military movement. We may see the suspension of the Constitution, probably starting with the First and the Second Amendment. If we think about this back to 2019, they did implement that. Now, this is what's going to happen. First, there's going to be a lot of things that are suspended because of ML, or a state of emergency. Confiscation of firearms, confiscation of medicines, confiscation of first aid, confiscation of property, confiscation of preps. I can go on and on. So they will have the legal right to come in and confiscate anything they want. That's why many prepping channels always say, don't keep all your eggs, like my granddaddy said, don't keep all your eggs in one basket, don't put all your money in one pocket. Same philosophy. And it's very important as a prepared individual family to be alert and to definitely not keep everything in one pocket. You know, that's why we always say to have a plan A, B, and C. Because if they come into your home and you have 5 firearms, they could confiscate all those firearms in a state of emergency or in a martial law situation. So it's very important that you all know that my preps all got ruined about a year ago by Beth D. She hit my boat flipped over, and all of them went in the water. So that goes out to Beth D. We love you. Miss you dearly, Beth D. But I think that when we really think about it, also the suspension of habeas corpus, imprisonment without due process and without a trial. We have seen this already beginning to happen in the United States. If you really think about all the different things, wouldn't just Texas be affected under ML? It depends, stepping in it. Honestly, if you have a question for me, put it in all caps. That way I can try to make sure I try to catch it. But what I would say is, I wouldn't say that it would just affect Texas. It depends on the situation. If the situation is completely out of control, right? If it is a huge situation, they could call it, a state of emergency for the whole United States. Many people are concerned, and I have not confirmed or been able to even find any information. People keep saying that the election could be suspended. If you have information on that, I would love to see it, because I have went around like a cat chasing my tail, and I cannot find information on that particular subject. But stepping in it, I believe that if the situation's big enough, they could call state of emergency everywhere. But if we think about this back to 2019, we have already been through this. We've already been through this. So that's another thing that we have to really pay attention to and recognize is they didn't call it on us. They said that there was a pandemic and that this is how it is. And a lot of people went with it. A lot of people lost their jobs over it. We have to think about what happened during that time. I think that when we get into the 7 reasons, we had travel restrictions. I mean, did we have travel restrictions during 2019? You bet we did. If you weren't an essential worker, you weren't supposed to go out. Many of us did. There'll be mandatory curfews, mandatory identification. You will need to show your papers or your ID so that they can say, yeah, you were okay. There will be automatic search and seizures without a warrant. So when you're talking about martial law, this is a very large, broad subject. There's a lot to learn about it. I've been working on this for probably about a week. About a week. Um, yeah. Oh, Huga, thank you. Thank you for putting that up. Let's show some love for our Betty. Rest in peace, sister. We miss the shit out of you. We really do. Um, how likely is it in the United States? Like I said, did it happen without us even realizing in 2019? Is my big thing. Um, that's one thing that I want to really talk about. But also, on September the 29th, 2006, I dug this up. George W. Bush signed the John Warner National Defense Authorization Act for 2007, which is H.R. 5122. It expanded the president's authority to declare martial law under revisions to the Insurrection Act and actually allowed the president to take charge of the National Guard troops without the state governor authority. So when we reflect and talk about Texas, this 5122 HR 5122, when they signed it, it was supposed to be just for 2007, but it has stayed on the books. And that's the one thing is when we get sidetracked to other things, we don't see that it's still on the books unless you go down the rabbit hole like I did. So it is still there. And that's very concerning. So Biden has the actual law to back him up to declare, right? And take charge of the National Guard troops. Will it happen? They're saying it won't. I don't know, folks. I don't know. What's happening and what's going to play out this next week is going to be touchy, very touchy subject, and it's going to be very touchy what happens for sure. Um, so we will see, and it's going to play out. And I hope that if you're in Texas, if you're along the border, wherever you're at, that you're very cautious and careful. We also have the Jade Helm military drills that were classified. Texas and Utah, they classified Texas and Utah as hostile zones to the National Guard troops in California using crisis actors. Now we have another situation with crisis actors being hired and set up for Houston, Texas. I just got that intel from another channel member, and I shared that earlier today on OTWP report. So that's another thing we have to take into consideration. All these growing number of military style drills. And think about this, they've also done these nuclear drills all over the country. We've also, how many of you have seen black helicopters flying in your area that you've never seen before? Hit a one. Hit a one if you've noticed unusual military movement or helicopters in your area. We have, and we live in the middle of the forest. So that's also very concerning when you start getting all these things and you line them up and you think about okay, why all of a sudden? So, oh, even in Germany. Yeah. Yeah, that's the big thing. That's the big thing. Yeah, but we got to step back a minute, Fisherman at 12, and think about this, right? I want to say this. All this time, since for decades that border has been an issue, but then the last 3 years the numbers have went sky high. Now all of a sudden the numbers supposedly dropped down. I haven't looked at the latest charts, but why all of a sudden is Biden, Trump, Abbott, everybody's eyes are on Texas, and every single time they do this to us there's something else going on. every single time. It's look over here while we slide this in from a different direction. You know, wow. Yes, they're make believe. They're make believe, Simon. You didn't know that? Hello, Alan. What's going on? So, we have these situations, and it seems like they're getting more and more. Um, they also released a report, Homeland Security, about hot spots of terrorism and other crimes in the United States. And they actually outlined the largest terrorist threats in the country with extreme right wing views. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Think about it. We're going to talk about these seven things that how we get past them, what we do to get through them, which is very important. Here's another one. 19 December 7th, 1941. This was during and right after Pearl Harbor happened. So it has happened. ML has happened in this country more than once. And we probably all know the history books about Pearl Harbor, and so many of the Japanese were put into encampments, right? So we can't say that it's not going to happen. They also had it in California, Oregon, all these different states along the borders of the West Coast. So there was also the curfew, 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. Now, this is where we're going to get into what happens. For one, they're going to tell you to shelter in place. And that means that citizens have to stay home. And once it's safe, an official will come out and say, go ahead and go back to normal. Isn't this interesting? Didn't this happen in 2019? Are we all getting the picture here? Are we getting the picture? Are we really getting the picture? That's what's funny to me is when you go down this rabbit hole, then you step back and you go, we did that in 2019, right there, shelter in place. They were telling us that, and the list is really long, right? Some of them have been so extreme that it prevents you from going outside at all that you could be immediately arrested. And I'm talking if it's extreme, I'm talking no walking, biking, no taking your car out, no form of travel in any way. Also, ban public gatherings. Does that sound familiar? Social distancing. Does that sound familiar? Oh shit! Businesses like restaurants can continue to provide drive-through or delivery, but cannot be open. Does this sound familiar? Shit, sounds like a repeat from 2019, folks. Teacher Chrissy, please slow down with the emojis, ma'am. Please slow down with the emojis. Thank you. Welcome to the chat. We're glad you're here. Yeah, no, you can't. You can't fly a kite. Yep, and they sure did, and they blocked them off. And then we had the essential business thing, and this goes into the shelter in place order. But interesting that it does not apply to homeless because they're feeling that homeless people wouldn't be able to abide by that. So the homeless population would be able to freely move around. Isn't that something? So what do we have on the streets right now? We have a lot of people. We have a lot of people on the streets. People will fall into panic depressions, and it's already happened, Miss Needle. It's already happened. It is already happened. With the people getting depressed over the COVID pandemic, kids becoming disassociated, crime going up, people losing their jobs. The list goes on and on. So there's if you think about these things and what I'm showing, it's like, did we already fall for this? And was it a state of emergency already happened to us? Now, we're going to get into the seven things that are going to happen. One, a curfew is going to be handed out if martial law is passed, and if there's a curfew, you will be arrested if you go out. So that's one thing. Yeah, yeah, JD. I know that that there's a gate open, but there's gates open everywhere. They have been open. That's the thing. This is a big distraction from something. I think that it's a great grand setup for the ambush and also to maybe declare a state of emergency in a larger sector, maybe across the country again, right? If you think about it. Yeah. So we would have curfews. So what I would say about this is if ML or if a state of emergency happens and they call a curfew, it would be in your best interest to not go out, to stay put. Because if you go out, you are going to have the chance of being arrested. Probably if any law enforcement or military catches you, if you're not an essential worker and authorized to be out, you will get arrested. So that's one big, huge thing that we need to be aware about. Um, yeah, so true, Brandy. Yep, I believe so, Mimi. That's why I put that little snippet in there about our military and stuff. Um, no, don't be scared. Be prepared. Then the confiscation thing, that's huge. But, we've talked about this for going on 3 years, right, folks? So, Huga, you're funny. So, when it comes to confiscation, I'm talking they can confiscate pretty much anything, folks. They can, that's why Dragonflies always says if you have if you have the availability or the opportunity to can your own food or do anything like that, do it because it's less likely that they'll take that. The thing is that if they see canned food, if they see MREs, if they see anything like that, they will take it. Could they call eminent domain on properties? Probably. If if ML fully goes full blown, they could call eminent domain. And if they do that, I've told the story before about my aunt in Los Angeles, and she held out and held out. She did not want to sell her property, and she ended up getting pennies on the dollar. And this is way back in the 60s, but they did it to her in the 60s. They did it to the whole neighborhood. So we got to realize, think about the things that I'm showing right now and think about how you can, instead of getting nervous or worried about it, how you can be proactive toward it, right? What you can do to set yourself in a better situation than most people. Because confiscation is going to probably be one of the big things for medicines, for first aid kits, for guns, for ammos, for silver, for gold, for cash, for anything like that. They're going to confiscate it if they want to, if ML would ever be called. The next one is surveillance, and we all know that the United States has a lot of cameras now. So when the surveillance would not be hard, it would be hard out here like where we live. But if you're in a city, the surveillance is on top of you right now. And if ML was called, trust and believe the surveillance will really be on people. People will really have the surveillance cameras on them. Your cars may turn off. Think about all the things that we're relying on. Um, the doorbell rings, or I'm not sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think Odyssey, Miss Needle, that possibly has something to do with it. I didn't believe it. I that's why I live in the show me state. You got to show me. And so I didn't believe it until I went to G's funeral, and that was 2 years ago. When I went to his funeral, coming back, there was the blue lights, and all across America, the lights have been changed out. Also, getting rid of the regular old light bulb has happened. So we got to think about that too. But that is a true fact. Miss Needle, did that happen in Germany too? I never asked you directly. I think you said yes in a chat one night. Yeah. Well, and that's one thing. If people are going to the border, um, I don't. Truthful troll. I'll answer that, but I think a lot of things have to play out, but a state of emergency can be called very easily. If one thing pops off in Texas, they could call a state of emergency for like Texas, Arizona, and California. They could, and think about that. That'd be three huge states, right? Um, yeah, you have a green light bulb. Yeah, and that's true stepping in it. Army vet. Stop yourself, man. No, I did. I missed it. Yeah, don't let me starve. Please don't let me starve. Thanks, dragonflies. Oh, Jesus. Lord help us. Lord help us. The dragonflies acting up in the chat. I'll talk about that in just a minute, Truthful Troll. Now this I want to bring up because of what's happening in Texas. So they could make arrests under ML, state of emergency, right? Politically. Politically. So they could say, well, you are a Republican, you came down here to Texas, or you went to Arizona or California or wherever, and we know now that you are a Republican and we're considering you an extremist, so you're under arrest. And if they called ML or state of emergency, there would be no due process. There would be no due process. You could be stuck in a jail or a prison or waiting trial for a very long time. Does that sound familiar, folks? Does it sound familiar? So um, when we think about the things that are the seven main factors for ML, and then we look at these charts that I brought up, shitola, right? Press a one if you think ML is coming in 12 months or less. They won't call it. They'll call it a state of emergency. Emmy, thank you for being here. Yep, exactly, Mimi. Exactly. And look how long they sat in prison waiting for to go to court. So how are we still in a state of emergency from 2019? There's a question for you. I think, look, so we talked about that, about the guns and the ammo confiscation. It would be upheld and you would not have a leg to stand on. Hint, hint. We would have media censorship. Huh. Man, a lot of these 7 points are already there. Thank you, Truthful Troll, for starting that. I mean, I agree with you. I don't see how that we're going to step by it, but I also think that it'll be called state of emergency. So if you see him come up and say, "Oh, my state, there's a state of emergency in Texas next week," we'll know exactly what's occurring, right? We'll know exactly what's occurring. And let's hope that it wouldn't spread out across the whole United States. But have they ever retracted what happened in 2019 is my big question. I don't think so. Because we see all these things that I'm bringing up, we have been seeing it. We've seen the ATF go door to door trying to confiscate and confiscating and accomplishing taking people's weapons and ammos. We have seen media censorship. We have seen all these things that are lining up. We have already seen it since 2019. And has it been retracted? Is the question. Is the thing that's going to happen in Texas, is that going to be the point that it's full blown? That they go, okay, now we're bringing in the military. And we all start seeing military rolling on the streets and tanks and jeeps and Hummers. And we see military turning on the National Guard and the National Guard turning on the military, and it escalating to the point that there's total chaos so that they could call martial law nationwide. Just saying. Just saying. I think the situation could escalate very quickly in Texas, and I think it's to the point that the American people are very fed up with the bullshit that's been occurring. That's one big thing I want to reiterate on is the medicine confiscation. Think about this. If you have a CPAP machine, if you are diabetic, if you're on dialysis, there's a lot of things that if the medicine was confiscated, then what? We've also seen huge, huge recalls already. There's a recall out right now on Robitussin. There's a recall out on many, many OTC medicines. So be on point about that, folks, as well. Yep, that's very true. Very true. Yep. Like a tick and burrow yourself in. Um, that's a good question. Well, but Doug, we got to figure. Come on, let's put two and two together, everybody. Okay, so there's some people that were down there live streaming, and all of a sudden he was live streaming, and all of a sudden a border patrol van pulls up, and all of a sudden his live stream just started spinning. He actually had to go off, move away from that area, and place himself up on a hill, away from the location where he could barely see what was going on in the vans, to be able to live stream. Are they jamming stuff? Are we only going to see part of what's happening? And on top of it, when it comes to the border gates being open and all that, they've been open. I mean, look how many people have came across. The numbers are staggering. And not only are the numbers staggering, folks, the numbers aren't accurate. And we have in our own country on the FBI watch list, it's huge. Just tonight, before I came on this live, there was two Brazilians caught in Boston, I believe. Boston, yeah, Boston, that were on the watch list, and they just caught him tonight. But there has been people on the watch list that have been on the watch list for years that they do not know where they're at, but they know that they're inside the United States. Hmm. I did the special, and I brought them. I showed the boats coming up on the shore. Why are they coming up on the shore and they're coming across the border? What's happening in our northern border, right? What's happening at the northern border? I showed that as well. The northern border is a harder route, but there has been rumors for years on YouTube, for years, that the Chia pets are waiting at the northern border. We have talked about it 2.5 years ago that, and I showed Club K. So think about it. Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. Well, well, yeah, and who supported them? And who supported them? Soros. Millions and millions of dollars. And you were right, Red Dog. It's about 3 miles in length. There's something really, yeah, exactly. Look, I'm trying to keep it with the chat. Let's finish this up here, right? Okay, there's only a couple left. So the medicine, ammo, shelter in place. So you got to figure out how you're going to react to these and how you're going to survive if a state of emergency or martial law is declared nationwide. And it can happen very quickly with everything that is escalating right now in the United States. So I would say this first and foremost: learn the gray man theory. We've talked about the gray man theory for quite a while on this channel. Learn the gray man theory. Learn how to be very unnoticeable if you would have to do something like get out and get something. It also, it'd be very wise to figure out who you could barter with around you that you know. Most definitely, I've been talking about water, water, water. I will say this, and I'm going to say it. I have to say this very carefully. Someone has told me that's in the military that there is going to be an event where we will not be able to access water or comms. Do I believe them? Yeah. Do I believe that it could happen very soon? Yeah. Do I have confirmation dates and all that shit? No. What I will say is the way things are getting set up, and all of a sudden the border, everybody's eyes are on the border. I think we have bigger things to worry about. I think the intel that came in about Dallas is very important. Um, Water, that the water could be contaminated. But we've also seen there was another train derailment yesterday. There was one last week that was carrying ethanol. There was one carrying diesel. So, also, are we getting sabotaged from the interior, taking down all these things, right? Comms, internet, and water. So, the comms will be one of those things that if you have a ham radio or shortwave radio, definitely want to have a NOAA radio. But if you have those things available, that'd be great. If you don't, the most important thing you could do is shelter in place and stay in place and bunker in and be prepared for a long haul, honestly. Oh, shoot. Are you okay, Lenora? Yeah. Oh, there is. I went into that Redwood about the PFAs. That's why it's really important to have an Alexa Pure or a Berkey or some type of filtration system. But even with those filtration systems, you are still not going to be able to get, yeah, Super Dave. Yep. You're not going to be able to get the PFAs out. And that is true. And so that means that we're once again screwed, blued, and tattooed, right, Super Dave? It's getting to the point that we're getting backed into a corner, folks. So I'm wondering if Texas is going to be the kilter point. I'm wondering also if the intel that we got from a channel member, um, will it be? Yeah, well, it is. It is stepping in it. It is. It is contaminated. It is contaminated, and not only that, the plastic will break down very quickly, and you'll lose water. Me and Dragonflies have already proven that. So yes, um, most of the bottled water is the same as taking it out of a tap, and you can go and look at the reports. I did a water map. I'll see if I can pull that up in the next day or two, stepping in it, um, and talk about the water again. But I had an actual water map that shows all the different fighting over the water and the water being hauled out of the United States. But yeah, yep, exactly. Well, and I think this is the grand, great opportunity. I mean, think about it. We had a false water contamination alarm, and people went crazy in Germany. Wow. Yep. Well, and I think we're getting set up for the big fall. I mean, like we are, like literally, we're getting set up so that they can roll in all of these things on us, and it's already happening. I mean, we've all. I think the big thing is with what happens with Texas this week is going to really set the stage for this year. And I think this may be the FF event. But we all may be watching the border when it may occur in Dallas or DC or some other place, right? I mean, honestly. Yeah, that's fact. That's fact. And that is from the breakdown of the plastic bottle itself. Uh, it just starts and they're so flimsy after you have them stored for a little while. Yep, exactly. Exactly. And PFAs. Dragonfly is going to grab one so I can show you. Um, with this stuff that's happening right now, I think it is going to be honestly the big setup for the United States. And whatever occurs at this trucker convoy, it may be that we're all watching that, and then we have something happen on the east or the west coast that sets the whole thing up. Let me see if I can show you. This is a bottle that had. Here you go, stepping in it. This is one of the full bottles, and this is how much it's lost from being stored unopened. You see that, folks? Look how much. About an inch and a half, 2 inches of water gone. This is one of the stored water bottles. And then the other thing I noticed is the uh, the bottle itself. Right, the bottle itself is very it's not sturdy in any way, shape, or form. It's like the plastic is just disintegrating. And if that's the case, that is going into the water, right? I would definitely say that even with bottled water, you should put it through a water purification system, boil it out. We've been boiling a lot of water, but that's huge right there. That's huge. Y'all can see it, right? That's huge. So you definitely need to be on point about water, folks. I'm telling you the truth. Honestly, we still are frozen in. Our cistern is still frozen. So we are going on 8. We are going on 9 weeks with no running water in the cabin. Have we made it? Have we been successful about it? Yes. Dragonflies is ready to have running water. There's nothing I can do. The sump pump is all the way down at the bottom. The fire truck that hauls our water in is down. And so, but we're fine. And you learn to adapt and you learn to overcome. Um, you learn to overcome the situation. And honestly, I could go the rest of my life like this. I have no problem with taking a solar shower. We have 2 solar showers. I have no problem with toted water. It makes you put a real life scenario in place and work through it. Yeah, well, the thing is the tanker in this area stepping in it is down. It's been down for almost a month, and they can't get the part for it. So they're waiting for the part. So the other place for us to get water is like $400 for a load. I'm not paying $400 for 1,500 gallons of water. I'm not doing it. Um, so we are living off of totes and off of rain catch. And then the bad thing is I'm gonna have to buy another pump because the pump is frozen to the bottom. Usually I take it out. I didn't, and then and the ice block is about 6 inches thick. I mean, it'd make a great place to keep food cold, right? If you have extra mason jars, disinfect, add water, and then seal. Dragonflies has done that, JD. Dragonflies has done that. I think, folks, that we have a lot ahead of us. Will martial law be called? I don't know. Will a state of emergency be called? How many of you have lived through a state of emergency? All of us. All of us have. So I want to say that, keep your head on a swivel. If you're in the state of Texas, along the border, Arizona, Cali, be alert, be aware. Definitely watch large groups. Um, it could pop off anywhere. And I think it's just a matter of time. And we're only into January. So I think 2024 is going to be quite the shit show. Your cattle tank even froze solid. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yep. Water and air is life. Very true, Missouri Outdoors. Nice to see you, man. Yep. That's what I'm thinking, Kentucky. But will it be on a grand scale, or will we have multiple things pop off at one time? We also had Russia state that they would supply Texas with weapons because that way they're not directly involved. Does it sound familiar? That's kind of what the United States said about Ukraine, and so they actually said that they would. Yeah, they actually said they would supply. Really? Yep. Helicopter overhead right now above the forest. I hope that everybody has a good night. I hope this brought a little bit of relief, but also a way to make a plan for if we do have a state of emergency or we have ML called. I think also with the intel coming in about the militia inside the convoy, it's all over the place. So I'm not the only one saying it. And saying that they're armed. If that's the case, folks, we're going to see something pop off in Texas unless it's stopped before. Everybody, please hit the thumbs up. If you want to hang out for a little bit, this broadcast is now over, but we always do it the OTWP way, and we always have some music at the end so that everybody can chit chat. And I did put together a new music video, so I hope y'all like it. I hope that I answered your questions, and you're welcome. You're welcome, Scruffy. Yeah, see, our problem is when you're on a cistern, you cannot leave it running because if you leave it running, you're not going to have nothing left anyway. So it's kind of a double-edged, shitter thing. But if anybody's seen my video in the shitter, Somebody said, "Oh, don't give up, OTWP." Remember, in my heart, I am a jokester and a half, and I hope that y'all got a good laugh out of the mudslide in the bathroom. Make sure you look at the hashtags because sometimes I do comedy, and I want to keep us centered, and I think that sometimes we just need to laugh and smile. God bless each and every one of you here from the Ozarks to wherever you're at. If you want to stay and hang out and chat with the chat, you're welcome to. If you don't want to, thank you for being here. Please hit the thumbs up. Thank you, Truthful Troll. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you. Now, let's see what happens next week. Keep your head on a swivel. God bless y'all. Let's have a couple songs on the way out. Yeah, yeah, big problem, Scruffy. We got big problems coming. We got big problems, folks. That's for sure. Thank you, RR. Yeah. Tip your server. Try the beef, Wellington. Stay safe. It's not my fault, Elaine. All right, let's watch this new one, and I hope y'all like tonight's music. Picked out a couple fun songs for us, and let's do the dang thing.
Are you ready? Five, four, three, two, one, go! Round one. Three, two, one, stop! Round two. Five, four, three, two, one, go! Rising up, back on the street. Took my time, took my chances. With the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man with his will to survive. Just a man with his will to survive. 3, 2, 1, stop! Round three. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! I am the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rivals. And the list, no survivor stalks his prey in the night as he's watching us away the world. 3, 2, 1, stop! Round 4. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Face to face, out in the heat, hanging tough, staying hungry. Let's not the odds till we take to the street for the kill with the skill to survive. For the kill with the skill to survive. 3, 2, 1, stop! Round 5. Halfway there. 3, 2, 1, go! I am the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rivals. And the last one survivor stalks his prey in the night as he's watching us away the world. 3, 2, 1, stop! Round 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Face to face, out in the heat, hanging tough, staying hungry. That's not the odds till we take to the street for the kill with the skill to survive. For the kill with the skill to survive. 3, 2, 1, stop! Round 7. 3, 2, 1, go! I am the tiger, it's 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I am the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rivals. And the list, no survivors, lost his breath in the night as he's watching us through and through. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop the tiger.
Y'all was coming in, and now you're backing out. It's hard to talk big with a shotgun in your mouth. I'm glad you brought your friends. They can watch it go down. I got mine too. So welcome to my house. Cause these are my people, and this is my land. This is what we pray for, and this is God's plan. If you ain't from here, then you won't understand. This is my country, and this is who I am. So welcome to my house. So welcome to my house. Stand up for mine. You better believe it, cause today won't be your day. I can guarantee it, you should turn and walk away.